crazy.
I know you are, but what am I?
You're a nerd.
I know you are, but what am I?
You're an idiot.
I know you are, but what am I?
I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I?
I know you are, but what am I? Infinity.
I like China. I sell apartment for 10. I just sold an apartment for $15 million to somebody from China.
And some of what we added is Senate to the bill, like a hearing. Bernie doesn't like hearing. Excuse me, Bernie loves hearing. Manchin doesn't want hearing in the bill and all that stuff.
You pompous, stuck-up, snot-nosed, English, giant, twerp, scumbag, fuck-faced, dickhead, asshole!
Shanga Koawa.
Okay, what's going on? Welcome to the No Labels podcast. Thanks for tuning in. And we got a special guest. But before we start, please sign in. Check us out on Rumble on all major platforms. You can definitely check us out all over the place. For our uncensored show, second half of the show, go over to Rumble. If you do not have an account, please sign up for an account and follow us over there. We exclusively have uncensored content where we don't have to worry about YouTube censorship. So once again, thank you for tuning in, and I really appreciate it. So today we got a special guest. I wanted to thank Indy for tuning in. We are here with Indy News. Thanks for coming in, Indy. How's it going?
I'm excited to be here, man. I'm happy that you're back and that you're doing No Labels Pod to begin with. You know, yeah. We're glad to be bringing this onto INN as well, and I appreciate the invite and
Thanks,
looking
man.
forward to talking about some of the things we're going to talk about today. So let's do it.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. So thanks for coming on. You're on officially my second guest ever. And I've been doing rebranding my whole thing over here. So it's like I didn't have a lot of guests on my show before, so I was just trying to figure things out. So hopefully I can get more guests on. But thankfully, I figure, hey, I want INN on my as my first guest because I want to make sure that we get our message out. So. So thank you for coming on. And for anybody who wants any questions, hit the chat. And I also want to announce that we're going to be doing live call-ins in the future. So, so we can actually have some live call-ins. So we have a lot of things on the horizon over here at the No Labels. But for a lot of information, a lot of stories, please go over to INN News. Indy and the guys are doing an amazing job over there. So I'm glad to be a part of our whole crew over here. And so thanks for coming on. So I wanted to sort of go into some news first because this is sort of breaking, and I wanted to go over with you. Actually, let me grab my notes over here. So George Galloway actually won the election. It was expected that he was going to win this thing. I was just wanted to get your sort of your input on that. Like, what do you think of that whole situation there? Were you surprised or was it expected? Like, what's your sort of views on that?
Well, I got a few things. First, I'm happy for him, and congratulations to George and to Gayatri and to the family. I think it's terrific that he's a strong voice. I know that he's been in Parliament before, so I think that him going back potentially is excellent. I'm a little worried for the mother of all talk shows, and I'm hoping that he's going to figure out a way to be able to continue to do that, of course.
Yeah.
He has been a really outspoken, strong voice in independent media, and I think it's, we need that. So I don't want to lose that.
Right.
I think he could be a very strong voice within the halls of Parliament. Now, I don't know. Was this a runoff? Was this a primary, or does this mean that he's actually he won the election? He's going. I don't even really know for sure.
Yeah, well, I think he got it by default, basically because they really didn't put up a strong opposition candidate against him. So it was for my sort of estimation is that he sort of looked at the race in that area and just knew he knew like where basically that they couldn't really push anyone against him. But the good news about it is that there's a lot of coping going on right now in the establishment, and they're having a lot of trouble. The Israeli lobby is triggered; they're losing their minds about this, and they've already pushed smear articles already. I mean, they were ready to come out as soon as you want it. So, and then you brought up a great point. Was also like hope that he keeps his talk show. He hasn't gone on hiatus for a while, so. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Mouse SF actually said over on INN, Mouse SF said that he announced that he was going to keep doing the show, and that he actually is gonna get the. He won over like an independent and over a couple of different other parties. So I think that this was kind of like a general election. But again, think about I think it was 60 days or 90 days to the time he even announced he was running until the election. And God, wouldn't that be wonderful if we didn't have like this constant running election cycle that never stops?
Right, right. Yeah, and I just want to play a quick video. We're gonna go to his acceptance speech, and over here where basically where the Israeli lobby is really freaking out. He really calls out the situation in Gaza right here. So let's roll the tape.
Keir Starmer and Rishi Sunak are two cheeks of the same backside. And they both got well and truly spanked tonight here in Rochdale. Keir Starmer.
So, yeah, and he also came out with this video as well. This is where he calls out Palestine.
Keir Starmer, this is for Gaza. You have paid and you will pay a high price for the role that you have played in enabling, encouraging, and covering for the catastrophe presently going on in occupied Palestine in the Gaza Strip.
Now, as you know, I think it's worse over in the UK. I mean, they're more, as far as leadership, is more staunch advocates for the genocide over there than it is even in the US. At least over here, you have like a tiny amount of opposition as far as elected officials are concerned. So in the UK, he's probably one of the only voices out there that's just in the MP right now. That's just won his election. So it's gonna be interesting to see what he does when he gets in. Just causing all the turmoil. So
I'm excited to see him poke the bear and to make them uncomfortable. And if we have another Claire Daly type, look, she's been outstanding, as has Mick Wallace, and the more members of parliament, and they're in European Parliament, but the more people that we can have representing the actual people, other than like the Keir Starmers and the Rishi Sunaks, who are representing the corporations and the donor class, that's what we need in order to be able to push anything forward. I mean, it's still going to be a challenge, but at least someone's there saying something. Somebody's saying the words, because nobody has been. I mean, you have a few. They tried to censure this guy, Kris Williamson, the other day, just for saying the word genocide again. So here we go again with the censorship in the UK.
Right. Let me see if I can pull this up. You can only see half the article here, but I'm going to try and pull this up. This is basically them freaking out about, this is the piece by The Independent. They already freaked out on George Galloway. And it says, basically, George Galloway hit back at the little Rishi Sunak after the prime minister described his victory in the chaotic Rochdale by-election as alarming and criticizing him for having backed Hezbollah. So they're already smearing him for doing the whole terrorism accusation. They say the newly elected Workers' Party MP told Sky News, you talk as if this is God. We're talking about little Rishi Sunak in the fag end of his prime ministership. Don't talk to me if he's come down from the mount with tablets of stone. I don't know if he really said that, but because they lie so much, so I can never really confirm everything they say. But it came after Mr. Galloway's deputy, Kris Williamson, refused to condemn the 7th October Hamas terror attacks on Israel, telling the BBC you can't expect to live in a situation where people have been oppressed for 75 years and not expect a reaction. Following a chaotic contest in which both Labour and the Greens disavowed their candidates, Mr. Galloway took 12,335 votes to become the only MP for the party he founded in 2019. Mr. Sunak's criticisms came in speech outside number 10 of Friday evening, in which the PM warned protests had descended into intimidation threats and planned acts of violence and vowed to back the police and taking action. So they're nervous. He wants to call the police on George Galloway, which I think is pretty funny. But yeah, that's them already freaking out about George Galloway right there. So I thought that was pretty crazy. I also wanted to pull up another reason why they fear George Galloway. I'm trying to get to the timestamp over here. Let's see. Let's grab it there. I think this should be good.
Let me show you how we do stuff.
All right, let me mute this here. Yeah, so we'll go over to the timestamp. But anything else we want to chime in on that?
George was on with Misty on her TNT radio show late this summer. So if you go to Misty's on her Substack, there's an article posted or a post with all the details and links to listen back to that conversation. Some of it was about Palestine, but mostly I think it was about Julian Assange, press freedom, censorship,
right,
and where he saw this going. I don't even think that he at that point knew that he was running or had planned to. I think October 7th and the way that the UK Parliament responded kind of changed the way that his perspective kind of landed.
Right.
And we're going to see him poking that bear. Like, he's going to be that thorn in the side that we all hoped the squad would be.
Yeah.
Well, even to mention the two together, but people who are going into the halls of of government to represent the people, that's the parallel.
Yeah, I mean, I unlike the squad, definitely we know he's gonna start trouble. He's already have experience with it, and I always wanted to go into this video here because if you don't know George Galloway, and I know most people do, who will probably watch the show, but if you don't know him, he has a long history, and he stood up to a lot of these people. He's been actually, I didn't know this, but I found this out today on X that he was assaulted in 2010 or somewhere around there, walking down the street by a Zionist, and they attacked him, put him in the hospital. So he's been a long-standing critic of Israel and God and for civil rights and justice for Gaza for a very, very long time. But I wanted to just show you this here. This is George Galloway, and this is a very, very famous speech, and he really knocked it out of the park, calling out the U.S. empire. This is during the Iraq War, where he was an MP as well. So let's just roll the tape here. Nope, let me turn
Documents existed and were being circulated amongst right-wing newspapers in Baghdad and around the world in the immediate aftermath of the fall of the Iraqi regime. Now, Senator, I gave my heart and soul to oppose the policy that you promoted. I gave my political life's blood to try to stop the mass killing of Iraqis by the sanctions on Iraq, which killed 1 million Iraqis, most of them children. Most of them died before they even knew that they were Iraqis, but they died for no other reason other than that they were Iraqis, with the misfortune to be born at that time. I gave my heart and soul to stop you committing the disaster that you did commit in invading Iraq. And I told the world that your case for the war was a pack of lies. I told the world that Iraq, contrary to your claims, did not have weapons of mass destruction. I told the world, contrary to your claims, that Iraq had no connection to Al-Qaeda. I told the world, contrary to your claims, that Iraq had no connection to the atrocity on 9/11/2001. I told the world, contrary to your claims, that the Iraqi people would resist a British and American invasion of their country, and that the fall of Baghdad would not be the beginning of the end, but merely the end of the beginning. Senator, in everything I said about Iraq, I turned out to be right, and you turned out to be wrong. And 100,000 people have paid with their lives.
So, proven track record how we're, people like George and others are always right and they're always wrong, but yet we get labeled as disinformation. So, I thought it was great news on that George won. I think it was expected as well that he was going to win this. So, I was happy with the results, and I hope that he really makes a difference out there. But I don't hold to like a lot of expectations for the political process and the electoral process, and not just in the United States, but in the UK and Europe as well. So, that's just my whole thing on there. Anything you want to add to this before we hop over to the next segment?
He's profound. Check him out on Instagram. He does great little segments on Instagram, and I don't know, his show and his cadence and the way that he delivers really works well for Instagram for some reason. So that's my George Galloway tribute and impression.
All right, I'm going to add my Rumble chat onto the stream. Let me just add this there. This way I can see who's talking.
We could actually
Rumble.
even add some of the INN chats, because people are chatting over at INN YouTube too.
Nice.
But we got Saul Constructors over there, and Grapentine, and who else is over there? I saw Mouse is over there, SF, and a few others. So we got fam chatting everywhere. This is good. They're supporting us all over. This is what happens when we split our audience, right? We don't tell them where to go. But we're live on Rockfin too, if you want to go there. We're even live on Telegram. That's right. INN has a Telegram, t.me/AD News Network.
Yeah.
So if you're so inclined, we put that up too.
Yeah, cool. So all right, so we're gonna go to the main story. I really wanted to talk to you about this story. I know INN covered this last night. This is about the ALU, turmoil inside the ALU. So it seems to be like a lot of infighting, a lot of problems going on, a lot of questioning of the leadership run by Christian Smalls and the leadership board, which I think contains at least two other people, pretty much, and the attorneys. Labor attorneys. Right. So
it's pretty crazy, this story.
Right. So a lot of disorganization, a lot of problems. I don't know if this is just a natural thing when unions first start. This is a new thing, but or if this is just something that is just out of control. But I wanted to get your perspective on it because I know you and INN, but especially you and Reef and Colin have been really looking into the ALU, keeping it, just looking into it. A lot of people aren't really covering it as much as you guys are. So I wanted to ask you some questions about it, and I wanted to, if any way that you could sort of summarize pretty much what's going on.
Yeah. So very, very short. Everybody kind of knows that Amazon Labor Union formed, and that a majority of the workers at the Staten Island JFK 8 facility, that's a warehouse packing facility. They truck out of there. They deliver packages all over the area. That's the New York metropolitan area. They voted to unionize, and they appointed and elected Kris Smalls to be their president, and he created a structure underneath him. And over time, Kris became disconnected from that structure in a way, according to what these folks were saying, that effectively he had gone around the country and around the world on public speaking tours and had not spent enough time doing outreach with the membership in setting up structures and committees and making sure that there was representation on the shop floor, that there was enough communication from the top down so that people within the union membership really knew what was going on. And then in last February, about a year ago, it came out that Derek Palmer, who was the VP and Chris's best friend, that he had been accused and had been pled guilty or admitted to a domestic violence charge against his girlfriend. He had choked her. Okay. And then that turned out that there were actually several other incidents. That was one of the things that happened. Then there was a fight in the parking lot between Kris and another member of the ALU. So there was a lot of kind of infighting and turmoil about the direction, about Chris's becoming a celebrity and not spending as much time at the warehouse for sure.
Right.
But also then in October, there was this move. There was a caucus that kind of broke out and tried to make a move that I believe they were actually led by Democratic Socialists of America, DSA.
Right.
That they had kind of like the labor notes kind of more organized labor position to say this guy doesn't know what he's doing. We want to take over. They ended up making a deal with Kris and kind of coming together with him. And what ended up happening was everybody else that was on this executive committee ended up disbanded and found themselves with nowhere to go. And these were all volunteers. They were all doing this just to make their workplace better. And so right now they are these people are filing a grievance with the state of New York against Amazon Labor Union. And what they are calling for is for Kris to step down. And there was already talk of him stepping aside. And letting the workers take back over the union and claim representation for themselves to get a first contract.
Right. So this is lack of leadership issue where he's not involved. He's not making any decisions, or he's not doing really. So they're just going on a PR tour. Is that basically what they're accusing him of?
Well, he's been a good representative and a mouthpiece and a voice for Amazon Labor Union. Now, part of it was that he was supposed to be out fundraising, but the dollars don't seem to be as transparent as they would like them to be. I don't know. I'm not on the finance committee, and that's all private stuff. So I don't have access to all of that. I did see some finance committee notes that were provided to me by Michelle. And I encourage everyone. It's on INN, on all the INN channels. We ran it last night. I really appreciate them. Not many Amazon workers are willing to speak out because there is punitive retaliation that comes at them by the company, as well as they're ostracized by the union and by their own fellow coworkers for speaking out against them trying to organize them. One of them had actually voted against the union when they went to vote, and they said that this was pretty much what they were afraid was going to happen. They went out on a workers' comp, and the union has done nothing to help them or to fight corporate on their behalf whatsoever. And I thought that's what the union was supposed to do.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you, as a person in a union, you have, especially with a company like Amazon, you have enough problems with Amazon trying to bust the union and retaliation, all the issues. So when you have problems within the union as well, it's sort of like a gift to Amazon. They're placing a bow on a package for them, because if they get enough employees that have discontent with the ALU, then they can just push out a vote to take out the union, to push it out, and people vote for it. Because that's what I get when I started and I tried to organize a couple of unions. The biggest thing I got from people who didn't want to vote against it, didn't want one, was this type of issue that we're discussing now. Is they just didn't want to deal with all this sort of back and forth. And the biggest thing I heard was just people saying that the union stuck up for them. There was no communication. And I sort of got that firsthand myself when I was trying to organize with the Teamsters. They just were absent. There was no involvement. We weren't a big hub like Amazon is. So it was like not really caring about us. They weren't really focused on helping us or even helping us organize, even showing us what to do, because a lot of the guys didn't know what to do. They never had a union before. They didn't know how to organize. So it's just that type of thing where, you have these type of issues make things worse for people trying to organize the union. So it's like a gift for Amazon. So I also want to think, like, do you also feel like, I mean, I mean, I know, you know, I don't basically think Smalls is disingenuous guy. I just don't, I think that some people are built for leadership roles, and I don't think maybe he's there yet. I mean, that's just my opinion. He's there at that level. For anything, he's just, you know, the PR face of the union, and there's, I don't know if there's other people making decisions there, but do you think that there's like this type of elitism with the leaders of the top union leaders within there? Or like there's some type of elitist thing going on?
That's what I was told is happening, and that's what it appears. Yesterday on Twitter was, I think, one of the first times that Kris has ever responded to me directly, and I've tagged him and I've asked him and tried to engage with him plenty. When I announced this stream and tagged him, that was the first time that he's ever responded at all. And of course, his answer was, "Oh, it's fake news, and stop tagging me for clicks and right. for you know, for cash." And we're not even monetized. I mean, that's not what I'm trying to do here. And
yeah,
we're trying to give the microphone to the workers and let them tell you what's happening in the warehouse, because Kris doesn't really want to hear it. I think that, you know, everybody has a story to tell, and there's always, you know, both sides, and then there's somewhere in between. I do think that it's closer to what their experiences are claiming, and I welcome and I would invite Kris to come on INN, and I'd love to be able to ask him the hard questions. But, you know, we talked about just a few of the things, like the parking lot fight, like disbanding this executive board, listening to the lawyers and doing the speaking tour last summer. I mean, look, he went to Netroots Nation and he spoke alongside Randy Weingarten from the AFT. I mean, he's gone alongside all of big labor and worked with them, and those are all in the pocket of the Democratic Party. Now,
yeah, he's
been outspoken lately about Joe Biden. I haven't really heard him call out the rest of the Democratic Party that hasn't done anything really for him. They're worried about the NLRB being taken away and being sued, but one of their lawyers actually is also trying to fight on behalf of the Trader Joe's union.
Right.
He's not that guy, Seth Goldstein, and that law firm that they were talking about. They are not exclusive to Amazon labor union.
Right.
They are also working with the Trader Joe's union, which means that also they're not dedicated to that union. It is the nicest thing I can say. You know, where does their agendas 100% lie? Is it always in the best interest of ALU, or is it going to be in the best interest of the labor market in general for that lawsuit to continue to move forward, if that's what they're handling?
Right.
I think Kris got over his skis early, and that's what we said in our article. God, it was 18 months ago already. We wrote this article for INN Substack, and a lot of the things that we wrote are pretty much what you see coming to true. We even put one of your videos there about what happens after you organize and the ways that corporate tries to infiltrate and undermine you, and we've seen a lot of those things happening too.
Right. That's another thing, since you brought that up, I also wanted to ask you. Now, we all know the intelligence community, CIA, FBI, a lot of retirees, and they form private intelligence communities by Wall Street and big companies. So you get a lot of big companies that form these private intelligence services, and I could be like 99% sure that Amazon has their own intelligence service. They do have contracts with the United States government. And I would not be surprised if they had private intelligence services agents inside these unions trying to bust them. So I definitely would see that sort of scenario happening, and saboteurs within the company that are being paid or bribed. I've seen it firsthand myself. It happened to me when I tried forming a union. So I mean, it's amazing what people will take to. It's how easy it is to bribe people. You can just, guys were sabotaging our union drive for dinner, for free dinners. Like, it was really amazing to see how quickly people sell out. So do you think that might play a factor inside
for sure
this union where it's just causing friction, division, the tactics, the CIA handbook that we usually see on Twitter that they like to implement.
I mean, they hired literal Pinkertons. Yeah, like Angel saying over on INN, like the Pinkertons, like literally they did hire the Pinkertons in Bessemer when they were trying to form the first labor union under RWDSU 2 years ago, before ALU even started to be a thing.
Yeah.
The Bessemer warehouse was trying to organize, and they went to the town and had them change the pattern of the traffic lights because they noticed that the workers were stopping their co-workers and their fellow employees at the traffic light to have a conversation with them as they were at a red light. They literally got them to change the pattern of the red lights. They did stuff with moving the ballot boxes. There was all kinds of, and just now there's talk of Chris Smalls having some kind of an election, and there's a ballot box at the bus stop. Now, that's where a lot of the organizing has happened for ALU, because Chris, as the president of ALU, is not allowed on the premises because he's not an Amazon employee.
Right.
So they have to organize and do all of their work off premises, and the closest place they can do that legally is the bus stop, where he's already been, I think, arrested twice from the bus stop. Once for, I remember, bringing pizzas, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Look, we're not against Chris Smalls. We were big fans of Chris Smalls, and we want to see what we are big fans of is Amazon Labor Union. The idea that the 6,000 to 8,000 workers at the Staten Island warehouse can be a model for the rest of the country for how they can organize their huge warehouse with all these different divisions that don't talk to each other, but still enough of them agreed, yeah, we should do this and we should all collectively fight corporate. I thought that was a hell of a model and a template. It's got flaws, but I think the biggest thing is that they need people in the building. And I know a couple of these board members are in the building now, but they need more than 3 executive board members for sure to cover the number of different divisions within the warehouse alone, between pickers and packers and all these different titles and different, and they keep everybody siloed was what we were told last night. Nobody talks to each other. They keep these different teams kind of close knit and not engaged with each other specifically for that reason.
Right. They'll usually keep union organizers or leaders separated so that they don't get together. So yeah, I've seen that firsthand as well. But speaking also of the law firm that you were talking about, yeah, I mean, I've looked them up a little bit. They do take in millions a year in revenue, but I'm not saying anything nefarious is going on, but they are definitely doing well as far as the law firm is concerned. But they do have a long history of labor work, so they're not, they are legit. In other words, so they do have.
Well, supposedly.
Yeah.
Again, according to the folks I was speaking with last night, they're getting paid $30,000 a month on retainer. And Chris, I know, announced at one point that his salary was $30,000 a year, but they refuted that and claimed that it's actually $90,000 a year. I don't know how we would find out whether that's the case or not. And look, I don't know what the leader of a labor union that doesn't collect dues is entitled to receive. Where did that money come from? How did they receive it? Yeah. Michelle dropped a name last night that made my ears certainly perk up and my eyebrows went, huh? And that was Pierre Omidyar. We're quite familiar with that gentleman.
Right.
Of the Intercept and Crystal Ball, famously being funded by her PAC. And not only that, but the Maidan coup being funded by, allegedly. Sorry, because we're on YouTube. That's allegedly.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, we went through all that last night on YouTube, so we should be okay.
I mean, not bashing the DSA and everything, but I would keep progressive movement way far away from any union I was organizing. But I hear you. I see your point there. Now, I speaking of Christian Smalls, I know he responded to you guys on Twitter, and I found it
blocked us.
Yeah, and he blocked you as well. But I gotta say, being a union organizer, a union leader, it's if you are thin-skinned and you can't handle criticisms, maybe that you're not the type to be in a leadership role. I know Colin spoke up. He responded to Colin on X. Colin basically said the fact that union board leader blocks a channel who are having the people he is supposed to advocate for because he doesn't want to hear what they have to say about his leadership is highly sus. And I do know that he claims that the members you had on last night on the show are lying, disinformation. A few friends of his online as well are claiming that they're making everything up and they're trying to bust the ALU and they're troublemakers pushing that whole thing. That to me is sus, but he responded here, and I'm like, this is something sort of childish. Like, if you're a union leader, maybe maybe you shouldn't be talking like this to people that are not. They just want answers. They're it's not. You take it defensive this way. But he's like, have fun, bro. The story as just don't tag me in your goofy shit. So basically, downplaying it, like you got just. Talking down to people. So that's sort of a signs of a shitty leader, in my opinion, but that's just my opinion there. And he goes, you won't cover this though, but I suggest you get the fuck out of here. And it's a article to the Teamsters. So just stuff that
right.
You take
yeah, but look underneath it.
Yeah,
I'm like, we cover Teamsters. What do you mean?
It's sort of like reminds me of Joe Biden fucking say, I don't work for you, like getting all offended by people who are like, hey, you're my president, you got to talk to me, right? It's that sort of attitude, that elitist attitude that I think that you can happen to people. So I was surprised that he said that, and it wasn't really type of thing a leader should say to people that want answers and criticisms, so they may have a point on why they want him to step down there, in my opinion there. But anything else you want to add to that?
Well, a couple things. That first graphic in the tweet underneath, we didn't even really talk about what happened in October, but when they tried to let Michelle go, and she claims illegally fire her as the vice president when they disbanded all these other committees, she also somehow continued to have control of the communications for the Amazon labor union. And she put up several different graphics tweeted out from the, allegedly, I don't know that it was her, somebody who had control of the Amazon labor union accounts, put up some graphics and put up some imagery that indicated that things were not on the up and up, and called out exactly who that was. And I believe Michelle even put her phone number down at the bottom and said, call me if you if you want to talk more about this or learn more about this. And I certainly was interested. I'd known Michelle for a little while and who she was, and we have been trying to help the union. And she was shocked to hear that we had been reaching out and trying to help, specifically when it came to media and PR, and helping the union create a division within itself that really represented the views of the workers, and didn't allow corporate media to frame the message and the narrative for them, which is what so often happens when they're set up to go on an interview on corporate media, is they really don't get to determine the context of how they're brought in. But if they have their own media arm where they're conducting interviews both internally and externally, with people differently in the facility, with people in the warehouse, they're having regular communications from Kris to the union members. None of that happened. Like, they talked about it happening maybe sometimes once. There was a little bit of an effort once or twice. They got a new website I thought was very exciting, but of course, for 2 weeks before, AmazonLaborUnion.org was completely down and went to nowhere. I got screenshots to prove it.
Right.
Once it came up, they eliminated a lot of the old websites, objectives, guidelines, and the website page for the executive board, which had been disbanded.
Right. So
it's shady.
Yeah. So one of the big takeaways from last night was basically there was a confrontation between leadership and one of the members. She was ex-leadership. Is Michelle Arardi Valentina? Nieves. She was on the show last night.
Yep.
There was basically a problem. They had sort of a confrontation, and ALU leaders blamed her, said that they put a hit on a member, and she denied it. And then they showed screenshots. So I want to go over this because this is pretty telling. This is basically catching them out there in sort of a lie, and as well as complicit and like so some snowflake shit, really very like just like, oh my god, they put like the exaggeration in it, and you can sort of insinuate that they've said that on purpose to boot her out of there. But I just wanted to go over a little bit of this. If you want to just comment on it as well, give me some feedback. So this is what happened last night on the show, and they pull up the texts from Michelle. Was it one of the other members who text about Michelle?
Yeah, it was Nicole. Nicole and Claudia are going back and forth. Claudia is one of the 3 people that is still on the executive board with Kris, and she's effectively trying to steer Nicole and trying to drive a wedge between Nicole against Michelle, and trying to turn people against Michelle for whatever perceived grievances, that we're talking here. So go ahead.
All right, yeah, it sounds a little elitist, but let's go
So
here.
just everything. The only thing they have an abundance of is greed. They make sure they stay greedy.
Michelle, you sent me the text messages between Claudia and Nicole. I don't know if you're okay with me showing that. Some people are asking to see the text messages. I mean, that's absolutely real. Yeah, sure. Here, let me go whatever perceived. Let me go and share that right here.
I don't say anything without backing it up with facts.
Grievances.
Unbelievable.
We're talking here.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
wrong
Everything we're
screen.
saying is shown like it's a crazy
You said something? Oh,
thing.
No, I was just seeing if I could hear the audio.
Can you hear it now? Is it too low for you? Can you turn it up?
I don't hear it coming from your side. I could play it on my side. I just don't know if it'd pump through.
Okay.
I don't want
They
to.
left all the evidence everywhere.
I don't just spread malicious lies.
Incredible.
All right, so I want to read it. I'm going to read it off. So it says, hey, I sent you an email to you. I have concerns as a member as to what is happening with the VP and Mr. Bryson. LU, I, Nicole, this is why we should attend a meeting at 1 p.m. today. We all have concerns. Ridiculous. No. That she did what she did. The meeting will continue today.
There you go.
This is incredible.
So this is the text message thread. This is a video.
That's my desktop.
Clip.
Wow.
You see everybody from INN on my desktop. Yes, I do look at INN all day.
So it says, well, technically, I don't know how there can even be a meeting. The constitution says 5 days. Nicole, I don't know how much you know, but we are dealing with a very serious situation. Gerald doesn't even work at Amazon, and there are people at the ALU with a history of violence, and I think we all know who that is.
Okay.
They were trying to get rid of Michelle without anything. This was when they initially were like trying to reach out. I was still a board member, and they were trying to.
It says, let me know. Let me just say that you don't have the information right now. We are dealing with the VP putting out a hit for Gerald.
To reach out and say, oh, Nicole, look what happened.
So this pertaining to an argument that she had with Gerald, and he apparently got a little physical. And they're claiming that the husband called and threatened him or threatened a member thinking it was him or something like that.
And we have to they wanted to get rid of her just point blank. They wanted to have a.
So as Claudia, seriously, I'm really concerned that the board has no right to hold a meeting without proper notice. And there should be a mediation and impartial people. None on the board seems impartial at all, and they're very serious accusations.
Emergency meeting, which is illegal to the Constitution of the Union. You have to have like 24-hour notice. You can't just say, "Oh, we're having a meeting and that was a meeting there."
Says Nicole, we are shocked, but it's true. VP told her husband about the situation, and he made a call to the wrong person. We have to deal with this on our own because it's going to bring us down. Once leaked, everyone is concerned. We have to handle it properly. So if this was like a real threat, I would presume they would just call the cops and have him arrested, but that didn't happen. But there we go.
They were going to have it at like 4 a.m, like before a march on Washington, and they were trying to remove her then. And then Michelle started fighting
they're
back.
trying to
and
turn.
I kept,
people against Michelle.
Right.
She was starting to ask questions about some of the finances, I think is what was really going on here.
Right. It seems that they're also checking her was it Claudia? Or is it the other one? They were also checking to see what she was basically what she thought of the whole situation, to see if she was
they were taking Nicole's temperature. They were seeing if Nicole was an ally or if she was going to be on Michelle's side.
Right.
And to her credit, Nicole asked questions like at the end she says you mean the hit?
Yeah, it's funny. It's just like it's yeah. Anyway, I can't even comprehend that fucking term at this situation, but we have to spend time speaking about it. It's a bad situation, so others feel fearful. The problem is that he also was aggressive to me in the chat too, and he isn't even an Amazon employee, but question anything, he verbally threatens members. So she's talking about Gerald there, right? In that response?
Yes. Yep. Okay. In the WhatsApp thread. It's a public WhatsApp thread that all the senior leadership, and Nicole was also a member of the executive board.
All right, so basically the leadership is saying that this never happened. He was never threatening her. It's all a lie. She's exaggerating. She's lying. She's trying to bust it. But she admits this in the text here. So let's do it again.
Being, unpopular and questioning stuff. So it's like, and what's so funny too is like the mass membership.
She says he did it to me and he has a long history of it. He doesn't really even volunteer. And she says, understandable, but you did not call anyone to teach him a lesson. So right there, that's an admittance that he has been getting physical with people and scaring other members, but yet they didn't call that he put a hit on other members. So it's definitely like taking sides here.
The meeting is where they called the cops on Michelle, and that's the meeting for the members, and no members showed up.
Yeah, Gerald ended up resigning from ALU.
Right.
I believe.
Was just Claudia Osterman.
Now, why would someone order a hit, then let the whole world know they ordered the hit? Does that even make sense? Usually you keep that quiet so you don't get caught. She did not tell anyone the person who got the job spoke. So
it was the people that are paid, the lawyers, some new lawyer that I've never seen. The
logic just doesn't add up.
And it's like she was airing a grievance at a mass membership meeting. She was not doing anything at that meeting.
She goes, he knows Gerald. Then she kept calling and texting him. Your case is different. She plays the victim. And you saw the message. They were sent to me as evidence. Can I see?
Other than
and she says no, not until after tomorrow's meeting. So no evidence, nothing like that. I would say this, that if someone got physical with my wife and caused the problems, I would probably make a phone call, or confront the person, but it wouldn't, to be like they're putting a hit on me is just if it was really serious, they would have called the police, which they did not. So they was just trying to look ways to, in my opinion, to sort of sever her out of there.
And the
let's
truth,
just see if there's anything else.
So and I did ask Claudia, I said, well, show me where you have like.
What are you talking about? She goes, not until after tomorrow. Sorry, the illegal meeting? And she goes, what are you talking about? There's no illegal meeting. There was a briefing on Saturday about the situation, and we're going to hear the balance of the. So she says,
we have copies of all this text messaging. I said, please.
So I found that like the most interesting part of the stream last night, because it basically shows them admitting that the other Gerald guy, who's not there anymore, of course, was a problem. And they sort of denied it, and that it actually happened. And it seems that she was actually telling the truth, since a person in the chat was saying that he did have he was kind of a hot head guy. But anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, I still, this is all, they're going to call this he said, she said kind of stuff, but I also think that there was question about finances and about Kris doing his speaking engagements and making money doing that. And he was supposed to give some back to the union because technically he was there representing the union, but somehow the union never ended up getting paid. He was supposed to be also campaigning for money and kind of doing a debrief after each one of these to discuss or figure out what was attempted, where are they with that, and kind of build a team. And my biggest criticism again is that he did not have a PR and media arm, and that is probably the most important thing you can have as far as a union is concerned when you're trying to shape public perception of who you are and do outreach to your members.
Right, right. Yeah, do you think like this is sort of like a growing pains type of thing where the union just started and they're just figuring out things? Or do you think that it's just corrupt and doomed from the beginning?
I am hoping that they can recover themselves. I think that that's going to happen without Chris Smalls in a leadership position. I think that if the union actually gets control, and if the workers can get control of the union again and put people that work there that are looking out for their best interests first and foremost in leadership positions, they have a much better chance of fighting Amazon collectively and all being on the same page, where the members know what's happening with the union that's representing them, where they have a team of people that is fighting corporate on behalf of the membership, that's fighting HR to make sure that workman's comp and that time off is recognized, and fighting HR on breaks and the time off penalties, that the minute, what is it, a time away from terminal, TOT is what they call it, or time away from station. And they start writing people up with that. And supposedly that's why Gerald Bryson got fired, was because he liked to hang out at other people's stuff, and he got fired for time away from terminal. Now, that's a legend. I don't know that for fact. I'm not going to say that for sure, but that's what they said last night, likely is what happened.
Okay. All right. So anything else you want to add before we end this segment?
Again, I just really appreciate Michelle and the people who came forward. I would definitely like to speak to them again, and they're welcome to come back on INN and share some more stuff with us. And I hope that other folks in independent media also invite them on to talk about what's happening at ALU, not just about what's happening with Chris Smalls necessarily, but specifically, how they're trying to organize and what we can do outside to help them.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's not easy. You got pressure from Amazon trying to destroy them, and then you have the infighting and problems in leadership. I do know that the union buster, the attorneys that busted our union, our attempt to form a union, was a labor lawyer for over 30 years with the Teamsters, and they switched sides to union busting. So on the lawyer aspect of it, and between the NLRB, there have been sort of a very cozy relationship between union busting law firms and those organizations. So I would say anyone forming unions, look out when you do seek attorneys and labor attorneys, and just keep an eye out. But not saying that the labor attorneys in this case are problems, but I would sort of be very, very weary of that aspect, because that's the money part of the whole situation. They're the ones that know the legal and legality of everything, and they're the ones that, if you get a bad one, they can screw you over and screw the union over, destroy it. I've heard stories, not confirmed, but I've heard stories of them even making deals with the company. So be a little more vigilant for anyone who's thinking about doing this. But yeah, once again, I think you made a perfect point about getting starting the union is hard, getting the union in is hard, but maintaining the union is just as hard. And once you win, it's not like just PR tours and touring the world. It's a lot of work, and it's a big thing. My suggestion would be you can keep Christian Smalls as the face of the organization. He's good at PR. He's out there doing shit. He's out there marching and stuff. He is doing stuff, but he's as far as leadership roles, they might want to seek someone or a group of leaders that actually will really concentrate, have organization experience, or just are more dedicated as far as taking the time to listen to members and doing what they're supposed to do. So if these accusations are true, I'm not saying they are, I'm not saying they aren't, but that's just my opinion there. But thanks, Cindy, for chiming in on this. And we're gonna do one more segment. I know you gotta take off soon, so I wanted to also address this. Now, I can't play the video I can't play the video on YouTube because it got censored here.
No, we can't.
no, I got in trouble. But you did a video. I think it's like last week on Navani, and it got demonetized. What was the reason they demonetized it? Like, what, it was something, a copyright infringement?
No, it was. Well, actually, no. INN has been demonetized. No, what we did, and it's amazing. Reef and Colin do INN News every Wednesday night live, and they did this segment. It's the last segment last week on episode 97 about Alexei Navalny and Russia putting allegedly more sanctions being put on Russia, 500 more sanctions because of what had happened with Navalny, or allegedly. I guess we need to say that, but even though they have statements from American officials saying that this is exactly why, somehow something in there, they said that some video was stamped as one thing and represented as something else. I don't think they even showed video, or if they did, they didn't indicate when it was from, but they pulled it as a draft. It hadn't even been published yet, the clip. The minute that it was titled and thumbnailed and saved as a draft, within a day, they had emailed to say that it is restricted. They're pulling it down, but there's no further penalty other than the fact that they're just not going to allow us to show it. Thankfully, we're not going to get any strikes. We're already demonetized, so they can't take away our monetization as a penalty. And they did not penalize our ability to upload videos or live stream, which we're happy for, thankfully. We don't like being censored. But that's what had happened, and it's unbelievable that all the channels that showed the exact same footage that talked about the exact same thing, nobody else got hit except for INN. Why? What happened? I don't know.
I do know. I think the video I'm just gonna guess here, but I think the video was the black and white one where the undercover UK agent was allegedly talking, and they're saying that that's not Navalny, that's someone else. But that's probably what it was. I'm just speculating there. But
well, it's either that or it's the one where he actually gives the Nazi salute, or where he's marching with the far right wing people. But they didn't say what year it was from or anything. That wasn't Navalny. That was his associate. His close associate that was offering to put a color revolution in place for $20 million in Russia. He was in the UK. But that, again, not misinformation. Well, again, so it's up on INN Substack, where we uploaded the video, and thankfully Substack allows you to upload video and send that directly out to your email subscriber base with no filters and no censorship. And it's also on Rumble.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think they definitely have something on INN, as of me too, as well. Not with YouTube, but on X. But I had the same problem with X. You had the same problem on YouTube, but I mean, the Navalny story is funny because it's like we've been hearing Russia for about 4 years now, 3 years, and now all of a sudden they're like, oh great, they found the one Russian that they love. So it was just funny to hear it. And we all know it's all bullshit. I knew like the guy was fucking NATO, CIA right away. I mean, there was no question about it. And I just think that what's made them salty is they spent all that money on this guy and all that effort for nothing. Even if Putin did assassinate the guy, they spent the operation is over, it's done. So I think that's the
except the Ukrainian. Even the Ukrainian intelligence chief said that it was a heart failure. So they would have had to look. Allegedly, it's safe and effective, but he certainly visited the tower of Pfizer 5 times. So that could have, at 49 years old, have contributed. I hate to say that, being close to that age myself, but I didn't have five visits to the tower of Pfizer. So that nobody knows. Nobody knows. But to even, it was weird to see certain people kind of lionize him and eulogize him. It was a little uncomfortable to see that. I don't really quite understand that, but
the funny part about those stories is that his wife runs out with her like new boy toy like the day after or something like that, and pictures and everything. It's just the funniest part about it. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, she got over him pretty quickly. But yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, but speaking of censorship, like I said, I've been censored. I did this tweet on X showing basically they were smearing this dude here. They're smearing Aaron Bushnell, and I wrote, "Here comes the evil Zionist media playbook," and they put the limited visibility limit on it. So yeah, it's just like between YouTube and X and all these other platforms, especially Facebook, it's just the censorship is just so bad that's why a lot of us are shooting over to Rumble most of the time. Like, I do my censored part on Rumble simply because I will not talk about it on here. I do not want I mean, it's just, I think if we take away all our content from YouTube, yeah, it's a hit because, you know, of YouTube's dominance over the market, but we take our content away from them, it has to hit them somehow. It's the only way, the only like weapon we have against the censorship. So I do all my censor stuff on YouTube. I mean, on Rumble and on Substack. But the good news at the end of the light at the end of the tunnel, and I know you. Just to say one more thing about the Navalny thing. I did a search on Substack for Navalny, and you can see even on Substack you can see the bias in the coverage. So I put in the search Navalny, and then you got everything here of all puff pieces. Here is Navalny lived and died in the truth. Trump and Putin 2024, accusing Trump of Putin again. Navalny versus Trump. So now Navalny is running against Trump here, I guess, in the general election. They're going to stuff his body and prop it up on the pulpit. A thieving little man in his bunker.
Might as well.
Yeah, you know. A thieving little man in his bunker. Lessons from the life and work of Navalny on resisting autocracy. Because there's none here in the United States, by the way. Putin murdered Navalny. And a win-win for Speaker Johnson, Ukrainian Navalny supporters. No imbeciles. This is this guy. I see him, the Jeff Tedrich guy. He's all over Twitter. He's like the
oh my god,
he's
he's the worst.
He's like the guy that worst. He's like the guy that has 800,000 followers, but no one knows who he is, and he just came out of nowhere. Donald Trump.
And he's got a huge Substack following too.
Yeah, it's like funny, this dude.
Mike McPhail. I see you got Mike McPhail there. You got Rick Wilson. You got every shit lib there is. Holy crap!
All in the top of the search results. Life is too short to look the other way. Alex Navalny.
Yeah, Konstantin Chasine. Yeah.
Beware of the weak man. Navalny was naive.
Steve
but
Schmidt.
Not a fool.
Wait, where's Vindman? Where's Alex Vindman? He's on there too. There is an I mean, we call that NatSec stack as our friend Crying Grim, who's on there, who's on Substack as Rich Slutsky. He calls that NatSec stack. Like, there's literally like an entire group of Adam Kinzinger is on there, and they're just pumping out their bullshit propaganda onto Substack, just like they do onto Twitter and everywhere else.
Now, all the way down here, all the way down at the end, here it is. Caitlin Johnstone's crocodile tears over Navalny. So she's all the way at the bottom.
There's Kinzinger.
Yeah.
There's
and
Barry Weiss.
Again. Yeah, all back in there. They pushed Caitlin's all the way down there. So
Heather Cox Richardson, by the way, has the #1 volume Substack, Letters from an American. Nobody's ever heard of this woman.
No.
She's got like 1 million followers on Substack. Rachel Vindman. You got Alexander's wife.
Yeah.
Like it's just straight shit lib freaking, like, there's a lot on there, and they have flooded Substack with shit libbery. But the good thing is I have most of these people blocked. I never see this crap in my feed. I don't.
Well,
like,
I mean,
on notes, I see like Yuri Bezmenov, and I see Matt Taibbi, and I see CJ Hopkins, and I see a lot of people that have it right. Kit Clarenberg. There's a lot of also really good lefty and independent writers who have been getting it right. But their algorithm, their search algorithm is dog shit, like beyond dog shit. It can't search posts. It can't. Yeah. They're serving a narrative.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know some of the tricks to it. What they do is they hire massive amounts of social media managers, and they basically flood the internet with, they have email lists and they buy email lists. So they buy, they can purchase emails. So they can send out massive amount of email campaigns and things like that. So that's how they flood the audience in to these, so they can get boost. Their main objective to boost them on top of the search engines, and that's how they do it. So they have the money and organization to do that. So that's why they push their shit out. Their shit always comes on top. It's not necessarily the company. I know Substack just probably has a straight algorithm, but they're able to sort of manipulate it easier. So yeah. I found that funny. But the good news at the end of the tunnel, and I know you announced this the other day, is that DMs have finally arrived to Substack.
Yes.
Censorship. So now you can do a lot on Substack. You can post videos, you can post DMs, you can do all the things. One of the reasons why Musk can't stand Substack is probably their potential to be his main competition. But DMs are.
They do a lot of what his stuff does better. Really, I mean, I wrote that in my article. If you check out, you go to indiemediatoday.com.
Yeah.
That's my Substack now. I made like a official website out of it, but I wrote an article the other day about it, and I actually wrote that I think one of the things that makes Elon mad since last year is that Substack does everything that he does better. Yeah. Like they're doing social media better. They're doing publishing better. They're doing user subscriptions better. They're doing so many things better than what Twitter does. Right. And eventually they will likely also do DMs better. Now, I don't know if they are secure, 100% secure DMs. I don't think they are. He was talking about doing that for Twitter.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see group DMs. That's the next step I'd like to see there. But we can't quite leave yet, but we're getting real close to being able to boot that shit. Because we're censored to crap, man. If I don't DM, without those Twitter DM thread groups, my engagement and reach is 0 on that platform whatsoever. Right. Like every time I put a tweet, I'll wait an hour and nobody, 1 like, 2 likes, then I'll send it to people. Then all of a sudden 15, 20, 25. Yeah. That's what it takes to get seen anywhere on there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I also think it's more the format's more simple than Twitter. It's easier to handle. It's just easier to understand. Well,
no character limits on notes/tweets, right? Yeah. That's the big thing. They don't have live streaming, and they don't allow you to upload a video right to notes. You have to make it as a video post, and then it will preview in notes as you share the post.
Yeah.
So it's like an extra step. They'll work those little bugs out, and their dev team has been phenomenal at listening to the user base and doing what the users have asked for.
Right.
And that's why they're growing like gangbusters. Somebody published today, he wrote on notes, is there any mainstream journalist that you know of that isn't on that's credible, that isn't on Substack at this point? Like this is where journalism migrated to very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of time before the heads of Substack are pulled in front of Congress. But I just want to go over this quick article really fast before you go.
Sure. Thank you.
It says, DMs have arrived. This is by Indie News, by the way. You can check them out on Substack and subscribe if you haven't already. DMs have arrived at Substack. We can finally all leave Twitter now. Or now is a question, right? The day many have been asking for is finally here. Direct messages are here. Creators, fans can privately connect. Very excited. And unlike Blue Sky, by the way, it's much better because Blue Sky is just rolling out slow. Pancake should be out in about 35 years, so get ready for that one. But very excited to see today's much anticipated global rollout of direct messages for Substack users. You'll need to update your iOS, Android app, and they re-sign in chat section and app desktop site. Substack does a better job describing it. So here is their post announcing the launch. And you put a link to that. I have been on the people loudly championing this functionality as its largest missing component to enabling more of a move away from Elon Musk's censorship bell. And once again, Elon Musk with X is just what he wants on there. It's like, I want this, and that's what I'm putting. I don't want. It's like he's choosing everything, and he says one thing, talks like two sides out of his mouth. But the hostility that Elon and the company he purchased have expressed towards Substack creators for nearly a year and counting, who caught in the midst of a personal vendetta he has with this platform, which just does everything better than he does, has facilitated my desire to exit this platform. Now, I just wanted to say real quick, though, with the whole he had that, I don't know if you saw the text messages between him and Taibbi where he found out Taibbi was on Substack and he's like, fuck off or something like that. And he stopped and he just left him.
What he thought was that Taibbi was like an employee and a paid employee of Substack who was stealing stuff from Twitter, basically, and from the Twitter files and then getting rich off it, which is not what it was at all. Yeah. Elon had a real bad misunderstanding of what Substack was and the fact that Matt published on Substack, but he wasn't paid by Substack after the first wave. Like when they first brought him over to Substack, they used to pay creators, in advance to get them through the first year so they could hire an editor and get them going. They don't do that anymore. But Matt was one of the early adopters, plus he had a name from Rolling Stone, so they paid him some money. They have not paid him since. It has been all his subscribers, and they've actually profited 10% from what his subscribers pay.
Yeah. yeah, it's just funny. But he definitely hates Substack with a passion because he was not happy in that text. But this is no longer the case starting today. However, we will have to wait for the group.
We'll have to wait for group.
Yeah, that's coming. That should be coming soon, though. I mean, if they already have the DMs up. Next, I would like to see an improvement of notes and post search. I would love to find the previous notes I posted asking for DMs without scrolling infinitely. It would also be cool if search crawled the content of the posts, not just titles and subtitles. Maybe even more detailed searches within publications. What I would like to see is like group chats, group video calls would be something like they can really do, and just to challenge X right there, like punch them out. But a lot of growth I found over the past year is thanks to Substack and Notes. Here's the leadership and developers and product managers making this stuff better all the time. What has been your experience here? What additional functionality would you like to see? Sound off and comment, and please restack, send a DM. So yeah, this was the article you wrote on it really quick. So that's like the.
And I'd love to see them.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd love to be able to live stream directly to Substack too. If we could live stream to Substack, we could email the audience, say we're going live, come see us over here. Now, Locals already has this type of walled garden type of environment that's censorship free. They literally can't. They won't censor you at that point if you are connecting with an opted-in email database of people. Now, it would be public to others to join, but the majority of the people that you're trying to reach are the ones who are subscribed to you. We can do everything else to reach them. I just think that their platform, they've already upgraded their video. They have a phenomenal podcast ability.
Yeah,
I'm just waiting for that to be the next step in the chain is add live stream, and that'll be really cool because we're certainly excited for that.
Right. Even like a article read or something like that, where you can read the articles out. So anything like that where they could push out. But if there's anyone that's close to sort of competing with X, it's definitely Substack, because I've given up waiting for the other alternatives to get off the ground. It's just taking forever, and it seems like it's never going to happen.
Rumble too.
Yeah, Rumble.
The Rumble Locals call-in type of conglomerate, three-headed monster. Someone was asking if their next move would be to buy a shop so that they're a merch store, which would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So that it would kind of fit this atmosphere where they could offer creators like a one-stop shop. If you want to do podcasts, you want to do video, you want to do live streaming, you want to do gaming, you can do it all from here. And Rumble built a studio to be able to do that. So I got to run and take the kids. I really appreciate you having me on.
Thank you for coming.
I love you, man. Seriously, I'm glad you're back doing this. We need your voice. It's really important.
Sure.
Everybody support independent media. Everybody out in chat, thank you so much for joining us. And tomorrow, tonight on INN, check out Angel in the afternoon. And tomorrow night he's doing a pro wrestling show, Pro Wrestling Talk with Miss Witchy Perfect. Tuesday night, I don't think there's a Jesse show, but we did one this past Tuesday, so check out American Tradition on INN. And again, thank you everybody, and we'll see you soon. Have a great one. Love you.
Right. Thanks, Indy, for tuning in, buddy. All right, so thanks for tuning in here. We are going to let me close this out. There we go. Oh, wait. Oh, sorry about that. All right, I gotta fix this over here, guys. All right, thanks for tuning in so far. That's Indy. Thank you, Indy, for coming on the show. And basically, we are gonna go over to Rumble now, to the uncensored part of the show. If you want to go over there and you don't have a Rumble account, please sign up, get a Rumble account, sign on to Rumble, and follow the No Labels podcast for our uncensored part of the show. And here we go. Check you over there. We're going to sign off for YouTube. Thank you for watching. Anything you want to let off your chest, just check me out on Twitter, X. Check me out on Substack. We're on YouTube, and then we're on a lot of other different channels. So check me out. And once again, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you over on Rumble for the uncensored part of the show. Peace out, everyone.